Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to American Scousers Morning Coffee or Tea with American Scouser. It's a Monday morning, and yes, he's back. He's the highlight. I'm just gonna put him right here the entire show. He can just like sit there instead of us. We should have given him his own rectangle, I think, on the bottom where he's just like sitting there. But we're back in the morning, not in a good news day or anything like that. But the Polish Prince is back. What's happening, man?
Good to be back. Yeah, I don't know what happened the last couple of weeks with this club. So yeah, if we could just let's talk about the Wednesday maybe and talk about the next weekend. That's when the next games are coming up, right? There wasn't anything that we missed.
Yeah, this weekend was rough. I got to hear about it in Rival Bros now for the. I mean, I've already heard a lot about it yesterday, but God knows how much we're going to hear about it from it upon Rival Bros. And honestly, it's kind of during the international break. I guess my hope was, and I think we even talked about it with Edip and Rival Bros last week, that you know maybe some things will be tweaked where tactically things will be better. And like now we know the players don't necessarily have to be there. That was actually kind of the conversation. Like, Slot needs some time to figure out, watch some stuff and say, hey, we got to do this over here. We got to use this guy over here. We should not use this guy at all. Whatever the case might be. I was hoping there'd be some changes, but you just come back. And I know that game went upside down in the first minute with that goal. So maybe things would be different. But then you see stuff throughout the game, dude, that says, what are we doing over here? Because it just feels like the same situations over and over and over again.
If you can't fight back from conceding a goal in the first 65 seconds with the kind of squad that you have, I don't think the plan being thrown out the window after the first minute is a good enough excuse.
That's bad.
So that's the most difficult part for me, is that you have made all of these purchases for this manager specifically. And we were sold this idea of, we were sold an idea. We still don't know what the idea is. Maybe we do know what the idea is. Just play it between the two center backs, leave a bunch of space in the midfield, and then every once in a while, maybe just kick the ball up and see what happens. Maybe that's the Slot way now. Obviously a little bit facetious there, but yeah, it's really, I think the word I used the most yesterday was deflating, because it's not so much the lack of results is one thing. The lack of identity is another thing. The lack of what seems like any form is another thing. And these players played well internationally, right? Most of these players had good stints internationally. Yeah. And then they come back here and it's like they're a shell of themselves again. And it's hard right now to see who the leaders are on the pitch, because I looked at that game yesterday. I was watching that game and I was thinking, whose voice are they listening to? Do they have a voice to listen to? Because it doesn't seem like one right now.
Yeah, it does seem a lot of confused. Ryan says that Liverpool win without the morning pods. Yes, that's the thing to consider. But I don't know, man. I feel like, look, some of the reaction to players, to Slot and stuff, I feel like a little like way over the top, because we were singing a totally different tune 3 weeks ago, or maybe 4 weeks, 3 weeks ago, right? Because of the international break is 2 weeks. I'll give you 4 weeks ago. Everybody was singing a totally different tune. So I feel like to change from that to the other, I mean, we were talking about like leadership of Van Dijk and stuff like that when we were getting those late goals and keeping the team calm and all that kind of stuff. We were talking about like Slots, like team believing in itself and all that kind of stuff. So we didn't go from like one to the other so fast. I guess now when you look back, those early wins that came in the last minutes, I guess thank God they came, because otherwise you'd be in a much worse situation. But my thing is, like doing certain things, and I understand what, like you listen to Slot, you can only go out there and say so many times about, well,
we created chances.
Yeah, we created chances. And then more importantly, this whole like set piece thing, you can't go, like concede from set pieces. Well, then can we fucking stop? I mean, let's do something so we don't concede from set pieces. I mean, kind of like horrifying that we're going to Brentford away. But this team showed that when the focus is on really on defending set pieces, against Arsenal, we were excellent defending these set pieces. So is it just a matter of focus? Is it just a matter of, like preparation? I just don't know what it is, but it's kind of like, pathetic when I listen to that part of it over and over and over again. Then you got to do something, dude. Like when it happens like one game, you're like, okay, like we play better. They got their goals from set pieces. What are you gonna do or something? It happens 2 games. I mean, when it happens like 10 games, there's a problem. There's a trend that has to be like addressed.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a habit builder and not a good one. And it's one of the worst habits you could build. John, I certainly hope it can't get worse because I
Yeah.
think there is a timeline, there is a reality where it does get worse. And
Sadly, yes.
I don't want to be part of that timeline. Imagine, I don't even want to imagine. Imagine they lose the next two. Or maybe just draw with Frankfurt and not get a result against Brentford. It's going to be a tough one to swallow as fans if you are in the space of social media and in the space of around other fans. If you're kind of just solo and you don't care, you don't listen to anyone, you don't go on forums, then you'll form your own opinion and you'll live like that and go on the next day, you'll be fine. But for some people like me, like us, if we're in spaces where we have to see what people are saying, it's not a great time to go on those places to see what people are saying. So I can only imagine how disastrous it could be if these next two results go south.
Not only that, I had to go and watch that freaking game second half, knowing what's going to happen. You know how torturous that is? I mean, it was because we're going to talk about it. I just didn't want to talk about it off of the highlights. So I was like, because I missed the second half, was like doing the refereeing thing. And then I was following through the phone at halftime and stuff like that. And then I watched and I was like, yikes. I mean, I think I ended up watching the last like 10 or something like that. It was already like 2-1 when I turned it on. But Alan says Isak should have never started. I mean, there is a lot of, but here's my thing, right? Not everybody can be in poor form at the same time. I think the job is to identify who is spoiling everybody else. Like, at the same time, it's hard to be in great form when people around you in poor form, right? I mean, we got to stop doing this, like watching the last 10, 15 minutes of a game and be like, he looked good, that looked good. I mean, I will look good too if I'm thrown in there in the last 10 minutes where United is all the way back, hanging out for dear life. We have numbers in and around the box. And, like anything we created, he's in there. Well, yeah, I mean, everybody's in there at the time. So I think there's a bit of an overreaction of players that came in afterwards. I do agree with Alan, though, in the sense that I thought, and we said this all like early season, that things went south the moment Ekitike came off due to his pressing, running, creating, kind of like his movement and stuff like that. When we were up like 2-0, giving up 2-0 leads, it was always like once Ekitike came off, things kind of like went south. We really missed him in there. And I realized how good Isak is and stuff like that. But I think defensively, we are brutal. Partially it's because how we line up tactically, but partially because that is a horrible defensive trio to have Gakpo, Isak, and Mo. When Gakpo looks like your best defensive forward, I think that's a really low bar.
Yeah, and I think I do absolutely agree with what you were saying about looking good in the last 10, 15 minutes, and you're brought on specifically to create a bit of chaos and give you that boost on the attacking front. I think the one thing, though, that you can take from that, too, is that both Chiesa and Ekitike, and to your point, they both did track back. And there was a couple duels that Chiesa won the ball back kind of closer to midfield, actually tracking back to want to win that ball to go back the other way. And I think that's the thing that at least I'm seeing, where I'm looking at it going, well, maybe, he deserves to have a shot because of that and not because of what he's providing, because he's getting thrust into the last 10 minutes of just strictly attacking football. Yeah. I'm not saying it's easy to get a goal or an assist in the Premier League when you get subbed on, but when you get subbed on and you have then 7 attackers that are going up against, 4, 5, 6 defenders, you're going to try and create what you can, and it makes it look a lot better. Now, starting from the very beginning, what does that look like? We've seen what that looks like. It doesn't always look that great. So that's the difficult thing, is that we love seeing these spurts, but it doesn't always translate to 60, 65, 70 minutes. And it's hard to see what it would look like until he gets the chance, but he might not get the chance. So we're kind of in a weird spot. And yeah, it's just deflating, man. I'm going to keep using that word. I feel like a balloon. They just not popped, but there's just a little hole, and just ever so slowly. It's one of those like helium balloons, right? Where it starts at the ceiling, right? And then every couple days it inches a bit lower, and you're like, hey, I thought you were higher yesterday. And then you look the next day, you're even lower, and you're like, man, what the fuck is going on? And yeah, that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah, pretty soon people are going to be walking all over you because you're going to be on the ground flat. But
I'm going to be a pollutant somewhere in the forest.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is, look, I'm trying to, I mean, first of all, yeah, I don't even gonna get it because then we're gonna talk about this. But some of the solutions I'm seeing online, sadly, mostly on our Discord than online. Honestly, I'm not in the Twitter mess, the craze out there, but I'm in a bunch of different like WhatsApp chats, like some with like guys like who have channels like us. There's like a few I'm in, and honestly, like I haven't seen it there, so I'm just gonna give it to our Discord, not address it. But like when you look for solutions, I guess you can go. One of the things that one guy said, like, why can't we just play the people in form as opposed to trying to get people get out of form by playing? I mean, because it feels like right now you're playing Mo, and I've been the biggest, defender of Mo this season when people were giving him crap because I thought he was still like contributing by getting assists and stuff like that. And I think, like we have players out there that we're trotting out there constantly. And, like I don't want to put it on. I honestly don't think it's a one player thing. Like, I don't think it's because it's Kirkes out there on the left and now Robertson, or it's like, Mo out there on the right, not Frimpong or whatever. But I think we have quite a few players where we're trying to play out like into form, and it's just not working. Like Kirkes is an example that comes to mind. You can look at the opposite corner over there, Mo up top on the right. I mean, you can even probably throw Bradley in there, Kanate in there. You have depth. Like, where do you stand on playing guys, trusting the guys who brought you here in some ways and did well, won you games, as opposed to giving chances and trying different stuff?
Yeah, it's a difficult question. I think it's funny because when things started going south early in the season, or when things looked like they weren't clicking, everyone was like, well, then just go back to the midfield that won you the league, right? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we went back to McAllister, Gravenberch, and Soboslai. Veert's on the bench. And what did we get? The same thing, right? So it's not necessarily a, hey, use the players that brought you here. It's a, hey, something is fundamentally different. Something has changed. What is that thing that has changed? Is it something that they're not receiving in training that they should be doing? Is it something that they're not reacting to well? Is it something that isn't being discussed? It's so hard to try and pinpoint it because it just feels like there's just so much disjointment. And the problem is we had a lot of changes over the summer. There was going to be a period of turmoil, a period of troubleshooting, a period of adjustment, a period of getting used to one another. The problem is you don't get the flexibility of time when you spend the money you do after the success you just had. And if the league wasn't won last year and you spend this kind of amount and there's a rockier period, I think the safety net is a lot bigger. But we have kind of unfortunately put even more pressure on the manager and on ourselves because of the result last year and because of the money that was spent over the summer. Even though any summer, when you make that many changes, especially after what happened in a tragedy inside of the locker room, there's always going to be a period like this. And it's just unfortunate that that's where it is right now.
And I don't even know, like, when you look at this, I mean, you like that midfield, for example, right? I honestly think nobody kind of like talks about this, but a lot of the issues is Gravenberg is not the same Gravenberg in terms of positioning, first of all. And some of the then when he loses the ball, like we are so freaking exposed. And that's dynamic we had with McAllister and Gravenberg, where one would slide kind of back, seeing the other one push up and stuff. It's totally gone. Like there's so many times where we are exposed, and I feel like there is like like when you're attacking, you can sense fear on the opponent on the opposite side. I feel like when people are attacking, like when we lose the ball and it goes out wide, I know I'm worried, but I'm always worried, right? But I can almost see like the back line worried, like about what's gonna happen, like how they're gonna defend it and stuff. I don't know. I mean, I realize changing half the back line, and really, when you look at yesterday, you only had Kirk as the new guy there. I mean,
Right.
Bradley was playing last year. Trent was out most of the time. So I just don't understand why the back line is so out of sorts. Yes, the goalie behind them makes a difference. We did actually talk about this in Rival Bros in terms of like the goalie making a difference, and like who's gonna make the big saves and who's not gonna. I don't think Mamardashvili like affected the game in a negative way and played poorly. I think the bar is so high. When that goal went in the first minute, I was like, man, I hate to say it, but if Ali's here, he's saving that.
Yeah, I think that's a good shout. It just looks like if he has Mamardashvili has such a big frame, it feels like if he could have just opened up a little bit more, that save is made 8 out of 10 times. It just happened to creep just under his arm and between his stomach, I think, right? So it is tough. And yeah, I think the difficulty is you have a guy in Van Dijk who is clearly human. I think I said this yesterday in Discord. He's human. There is going to be some regression, right? I mean, he can't get better as he's getting older. Not at this point, right? Because we're kind of over that. He has to find a way to sustain himself at the ages he's at now with the minutes he's playing, right? You have him sit next to Kanate, who gives you the highest of highs when he's playing well, but gives you the absolute lowest of lows when he's playing poorly.
Yep.
And that doesn't show a lot of confidence. You have a guy in Kirkes who is being misused and who is still incredibly young, right? I think we tend to forget that we gave other players the benefit of the doubt because they were young, but Kirkes doesn't get that benefit of the doubt because he was in the Premier League, so he doesn't need an adjustment period. Yeah. And you have a guy in Bradley on the other side who maybe isn't as good as we all wanted him to be, but because he was a great spark and he had great moments and he tackled Mbappe, like we think of him as this larger than life defending right back when he is not. And when you have all those four pieces together in front of a new keeper, yeah, it's shaky and it's going to be shaky and it doesn't bode well for confidence. And I think that's going to be something that has to get ironed out one way or another. I don't know if I think the weird thing is if the Gahey deal goes over the line, I don't know if he changes that much. Yes, you have more confidence because maybe you don't have Kanate next to Van Dijk, but you still have Kirkes and Bradley on either side that still need some help or some adjustment. And I don't know if Gahey was the answer, but we'll never know.
I mean, I think Gay is like, I mean, in terms of his strengths and how he plays, how good he is on the ball and stuff. I mean, it's probably like the best you can get in that sense, and knowing the league and all that kind of stuff as an additional bonus. You're not bringing somebody from outside. So yeah, I mean, that's definitely would like elevate. But now we're going to be talking about, well, you have one more new guy in the back line. There's going to be some like, lack of cohesion and stuff like that. So that is going to be there. I just didn't know if not having their regular goalie behinds, and I know Ali has been out in the past, but let's face it, Ali has been so many times. He's been so many times out in the past that Kelleher was not like, oh, this guy came out of nowhere playing in the goal now. He was almost like a semi-regular because he would play at least, like 10, 15 games a year because when Ali was out. So I don't think it was as big of a change and drop when you had, like Kelleher in goal. And I'm not saying, I think, like somebody was saying in the comments that, Cersei was saying, like, he's worse than Kelly. I don't think we know that really. I mean, I don't know how many of those Kelly says yesterday, first of all. So I don't think we know that. I think that's really unfair on Mamardashvili. That's why I feel like it's very difficult to put it on one player. Saida says, Saul is responsible for all these. Why relying on wingers when we have Wirtz who can create chances in the middle? I mean, honestly, like you talked about this, and that clip actually went around for quite some time over here. That's probably the frustrating part is, whatever idea we sold on Wirtz on when we signed him in the summer, can we do that? It's like whatever it is, can we just do it? I almost feel like we're attacking too much. Like there is no balance. So there is no winning the ball back and giving the guys up top another chance and stuff like that. Look, being 1-0 down totally affects that though, because now the other team can be like, okay, if you guys aren't going to come and, like press up, then we're just going to kill time over here. So that kind of like changes the total dynamic. But I just think, Gravenberg is pushing up a lot more than he was last year. And it's all fine and dandy. Oh, great. He's contributing a lot to scoring and stuff when he scores. But I think when we lose the ball now, we're totally off balance. And I'm seeing so many like passing trends, like overall like heat maps put on top of each other and stuff like that. Like, how can the middle be so freaking empty? Because everybody is like almost like in a circle over there. Like it's a diamond, but there's nothing in the middle of the diamond.
Yeah, I think I'm trying to remember who I was watching or what the clip was, but there was a guy who had like a tactical board in front of him, and he was going through the Liverpool squad, and he goes, "All right, where does Isak want to be?" Sets him right in the box, right? Where does Ekitike want to be? Sets him right in the box. Where does Gakpo want to be? Sets him right outside the box, where he can cut in. Yep. Where does Mo want to be? Right on the corner of the box, kind of inside the box as well. Where does Kirkes want to be? Right outside the box. Where does Bradley want to be? Right outside the box. Where does Soboslai, McAllister, and Gravenberch want to be? Right outside the box around the D, right? And to your point, every player feels like they want to be right there, right in the box or right outside the box. And when you have balance and you can make it work, I didn't even mention Wirtz in that situation. Wirtz is also there too, right? Like every player is there. When you don't have the balance, and like you said, defensively, when you give that ball up, you're already outnumbered. You're already under pressure. And that's the part that, like you're saying, we're just so focused on the attack while not getting anything out of the attack. And it's hurting us the other way because then we're over-attacking and then not having enough numbers in the back and leading to all these counterattacks that are just absolutely killing us. And it's just, it's deflating. There goes that balloon again.
Deflating. The balloon went another inch lower. Yeah, dude. Yeah, we need to get some help. That's like a lot of wishful thinking over here. So, Roger says the word dead team, not T. No, morning copy or T. T could be too. But yeah, dead team he means. But yeah, it's just, man. I mean, here's the thing though. But this is, hold on. Stop the presses. Stop everything. Everything goes sided like Jones. So yes, that is first time this season. First time like ever. But yeah, I mean that's it goes back to. Why do some of these guys and I'm not saying because they came off the bench and played good, but if we're going to try something different or play a guy in form, why don't we do more of it, I guess? Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. We're kind of like not a good matchup to go into in Brentford when you defend set pieces. But I'm telling you, like you say, we defended set pieces against Arsenal. So I don't think that's like we can never play the defense set pieces kind of a deal. And that's what Slot has to figure out. And I think we're kind of all in agreement over here that this is really ultimately on Slot and his gang to figure out and make things happen. Because you have quality, but sadly, it's built like going back to what you're saying, it's built like a FIFA team, like a 14-year-old building a FIFA team. is what it's like built like. Or not even 14. 14 might put a bit more beef in the middle defensively. Let's go 12-year-olds, 10-year-old building a FIFA team where it's all these attacking players. There's speed everywhere and stuff, but there's no balance. And I think that's on him to find that balance. Whether you're going to invert like one of the backs to help midfield more, whatever you're going to do, but you have to do something to get more numbers in the middle to kind of win the ball back and get it to the guys up top. Because your backline, I don't think you can abandon your backline maybe like in the past and say, okay, and then when you guys, then you guys stop the counter, win the ball again, because I think we have such a shaky back four now that everybody is like, oh, we need help back here, and then you need midfield to be there. But it all stops from the top. I think, when we suffer defensively, we have a tendency, everybody has a tendency just look at the back four and the goalie. But I really think it starts from the top. Like I said, we have the worst defensive trio starting yesterday up top. So we do see, though, by the way, Isak, when he's fit, he does run a lot more on press. That was kind of like one of my worries. I was like, is this guy not going to press at all? But I think he was kind of like conserving energy when he first came over. But, we know Mo and his pressing as much and Gakpo. So when you start up top like that, then you're putting a lot more pressure on midfield. And basically, Szoboszlai has to run for everybody. Like, they're like, why don't you run 160% of what you should? Because all these guys are going to be at 80%. You can fill in for them.
Yeah. And the set piece thing, too, it's a mental thing, I think. Like you're saying, we did it against Arsenal. So the quality is there. The understanding is there. It's that you just have to be clicked on to do it throughout the entire 90 and not let those moments. The three was against Chelsea, against Crystal Palace, and against United. All three back corner, back post, alpha set piece. And so it is just a mental thing. And there goes that balloon.
Deflating, yes. Here's the thing. And it's not on Mamardashvili, because some of the games you mentioned, we had Ali in goal.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll tell you what, I watched Mamardashvili play against Turkey during the international break. And that was some scary shit. Like that, because Turkey scored again, similar to how they did in the Euros, like two from like a corners. So it was like, yikes, because this guy does not come out at all. A guy that big, you expect to kind of come out. I mean, yesterday's, I think, is different. I think that's more on Konate not getting out of there fast enough, because then everybody would have been off, because everybody pushes out.
Right.
But, he does not really come and claim the out. Did you guys watch the club? Man, don't see. You started this. You started this. Only if it is so, yes. For fuck's sakes, no. Okay, can somebody explain to me? And I love Klopp, dude. I really do. I not only as a manager and what he did and everything like that, but I really liked how I really like listening to him talk about life and things in general and stuff like that. I really like his worldview. Even if I don't agree with he's obviously more religious than I am and stuff like that. But some of the things he says, I love the dude as a man as well in terms of some of the things he said. But can we please stop? Because the answer to that is hell no. And I don't understand how everybody, as much as we love Klopp, can we start this dude abandoned the team mid-season, put us in that huge ass freaking contract mess. And do you think the people in charge right now would go back to that? These people in charge right now came back after Klopp left because Klopp wanted more power and stuff like that in the transfers. And we were in the contract mess because of when he announced he was going to freaking leave. He didn't just leave at the end of the season. I'm saying I'm tired. He didn't even finish the season. Put us in that freaking hole, and he wanted more power anyway. So this new regime is not going to want Klopp anyway. So I just don't understand why we're even thinking this, why I see it online. Can we just get over this, that, keep rehashing over here? Because I don't see him coming back either, mind you, having said all this.
No, and you want him to come back to a team whose players that were just purchased for a different manager. You think that also Isak, Gakpo, and Mo are going to be the gegenpressing giants that he wants them to be? This isn't 5 years ago, Mo. No, no, no. This is Mo now, who is now no longer needs to go back and defend. You
Yep.
think he's going to want to go and defend under Klopp again? No chance. You think Isak is going to be the pressing giant like Firmino was? No. You think Gakpo is going to do what Mane did? Absolutely not. This is a ridiculous thing to want as a fan. And it's a little disappointing to see so much of it, considering, like you said, yes, he left on an okay note, but it was very sour for months, evidently, based on the people who came back after he left, based on the time of his announcement, based on what he ended up not providing for the club after saying he would provide for the club. It's just silly. And no, he's not coming back. If he is coming back, it would be in like 10 years. And I don't think that that's something that we would end up seeing. It's not going to be for this team.
Not to mention, like, his tactical part of it would be he's working at City. So I don't know how that would work. I mean, there's so many, I think we were going back and forth with Kazi in the Disco chat over there. I would have been 5 minutes late to the show if I listed all the reasons why it does not just like make sense. And I don't think he would want it anyway. And Saito is right. Here's another thing. You spent all this money bringing players who suit this system. So now what are you going to do? Like Wirtz, I think would be able to work in club system, mind you. I think you would find a way to put him in there. I think guy of his quality, you got to find a way, and most managers would find a way to put him in there. And I think, we've kind of like talked about this before, like in the Monday night podcast and stuff like that. And it was like always like a negative poo-poo, but this is kind of like this team, this club at least preparing for a post-Mo like layout over there. I guess the question is, are we going to get there a lot faster because of Mo's form? Because, like when we signed all these players, the logic went to different formations that would utilize them, right? But then none of those formations have Mo work there because Mo can't be right midfield. Mo can't be like doing this and stuff like that. So it was all about, preparing for like a post-Mo after Mo leaves kind of a deal. Is that just coming sooner, you think, than later?
Yeah, I think so. But at the same time, then it's so weird to give him a brand new contract where he's making 400,000 a week just to phase him out. If anything, it seems like the reason why you keep him is not only because of his impact on the pitch, but his impact off the pitch. But it does not look like he's having impact either way right now. Like I was saying earlier, it does not look like there is a leader on the pitch right now. And unfortunately, I think our biggest leaders from last year went through a very traumatic situation over the summer. And not only do they have to go through a traumatic situation, they're also aging because they're human. And you put all of these all these ingredients together in this recipe with all the new moving parts, with a totally different locker room, with totally different guys, different personalities. Half the guys there still going through something that they went over the summer. The other half trying to maybe understand what it's like, but not having any connection to that. That could also be difficult to gel with because everything that we're seeing on the pitch could easily be attributed to disjointment off the pitch too. You want to think that everyone is best friends off the pitch, and you see these clips of them coming into training and, everyone's, high-fiving each other, being happy. But then you think about the moments of them sitting in certain, sitting at the bar or the counter for coffee and thinking about who else might have been there and how that changes. I don't know. It just, it's tough because you don't want to give up so quickly on the guys that brought you there, but it feels like there just isn't enough there for these players to believe in, and some of it is believing in each other, and I don't know if we're seeing that.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I like these two names a lot better than, like trying to rehash and make Klopp work or whatever. But I think there's a huge part to what you're saying. I mean, look, we've all been on teams, right, where this is more of a test of a team, and this is more of a test of a slot. When everything is going great, it's easier to get along. Like there might be some aspects of you that kind of like irk me, and maybe I'm not totally sold on. But if we're winning all together, then I'm going to, I'm going to look past that, and we're still going to keep high fiving and stuff like that. But when things are not good, and the morale and the mood is not good, that's when those little things that irked me about you become even more annoying and becomes more of an irk. And that's, I think, when you find out, like the build of a team. And I think that's what we're going to find out over here. I think it's way too early. I mean, I'll ask you, what point would you become slot outs? I mean, people are talking about, obviously a losing streak is not a big thing. I'm hoping the midweek, Frankfurt is pretty decent attacking, by the way, but not as much defensively. So, from I only watched them play against Galatasaray in the Champions League, mind you. It's not like I watch a lot of Bundesliga, but from that game, when do you become slot out? Because I find the conversation right now, and I realize people are not talking about doing this tomorrow. They're like, if this keeps going like this, for how long?
Part of me says easily he gets the whole season still, because I don't think there's some people out there who are saying that that he is out of his depth and that he's not fit to manage a club of this level, blah blah blah. I don't think you win a 38 match league in England being out of your depth. I don't think he was riding the coattails of Jurgen Klopp. He was using the players that were brought in by Klopp and company, but he wasn't using the system that Klopp was using. He was using his own system, and he was able to make something out of it. And so to think that he's out of his depth or he's not good enough, I think is silly. But to think that he may not be as adaptable as we'd like him to be, I think there's truth to that. And so if he's not adaptable and he's a bit more stubborn and he doesn't look to change from within as well, then I think after this season, I think there would be calls for him to leave if, let's say, we finish outside of the top 4, top 5, and not win a trophy, not get through maybe to at least the quarterfinals of the Champions League. Then I think there are serious discussions. Now, if we lose on Wednesday, you lose against Brentford, and you lose again, I think the chatter will get really loud, but I don't think I'll be part of that chatter quite yet. I think it'll take quite a bit, because I think this is a year. I don't. It's just so frustrating because we said during the summer, after everything that happened, especially in July, we're like, you know what, this season, whatever happens, happens, right? Because we went through something. I don't want to say we. I'm sorry. Collectively, everyone went through something that was so unexpected and so tragic and so horrific that whatever happens, happens. And now all of a sudden, we're turning our backs on all of that and saying, fuck this manager, fuck this team, this is unacceptable. While just 3 months ago, we're like, you know what? It's okay. They're going through a lot of changes, a lot of everything. Where's that grace now? I don't know. I get it. It's also a business. You need results.
Yep.
But where's the humanity in it as well?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, I don't know. I think a lot of that comes from the money spent, because the money spent brings the expectations as well. The only thing I worry about with Slot is, and when I listen to him sometimes, that kind of like makes me worry, is when he talks about last season. I think his system relies on, and we did this last year, the Slot special was 2-0, right? I think his system relies a lot on getting those couple of goals and then making sure you don't concede. You defend your set pieces, and you kind of like defends, have obviously you have quality out there. You play in a way where you afford to win 2-0. But this is a league that's not going to happen all the time. Like every team, we talk about teams having players that can make like big differences, because of, even on a bad day, the team is playing bad, but they have, I don't know, like Bournemouth can be on a poor day, but Semenyo can make something happen, for example. Every team has a couple of guys like that can make a difference and get a goal in. And if you don't have an alternate plan, you're not going to always get those 2-0 wins piling on. I just worry that we kind of rode that storm early, especially last season, won all those 2-0s, 1-0s, and stuff like that. But that's not really the norm. I think that's kind of changes. And I don't know if slots will change with that. And these are the players that, we assume he wanted, because it's not like, that we're going to go out and spend all this money if he's not on board with it. So he has a plan in mind, but I think there's a lot of conflict between the old plan and the new plan. And you have some players maybe from the old regime who do not fit the new plan, and it's going to be a transition period. And I honestly think if it keeps especially going like this, and you look at the schedule, I mean, that was the bad thing, by the way. Here, let me pull it up real quick. But it was not, I mean, Brentford's, then you have Palace at home. I mean, obviously you have Frankfurt. You have Palace at home for the EFL Cup. Then you have Villa at home, who is starting to put it together, unfortunately. Then you have Real Madrid at home, away to City. And then you have Sean Douche, more than likely, coming to Anfield with Forest. So talking about parking the bus that he will be doing. And then you have PSV, West Ham. Things get a bit easier after that. You just got to ride the storm out until the international break, I think. Because then after the City game is international break. Then you have Forest, PSV, West Ham, Sunderland, Leeds, Inter, Brighton. So it does get a lot easier. Then you have Wolves at home and stuff like that. So it's just a matter of riding it till the international break. I mean, do you see a scenario? I mean, you can see a scenario looking at those games where you don't get a whole lot.
Yeah.
You can see a horrible scenario. The mood we're in right now, where they're like, this could be 8 in a row or something crazy like that. I don't think so. I think actually we do well against Frankfurt, but you could see it looking at these fixtures that it can go south pretty fast.
Yes, it can. Talk about maybe 9 in a row by the time you go to the international break, roughly. Man, that would be one hell of a world, wouldn't it? I don't think I could do the panel show at that point. I can barely do the panel show now. I'm a little worried. I'm a little worried about tomorrow, to be honest. And I don't know if I might just not invite Sully and just kind of block him from getting the invite for the show. He'll probably find a way to sneak on. But yeah, it's I remember, I think we posted a graphic a couple weeks ago where it was, how many points are we getting from these 5 matches? And it was, the 5 including Palace and United. And we're like, oh yeah, I mean, 12 out of 15, 13 out of 15. It's like, shit, we're going to get like 4 or 5 out of 15 at this point. So it's not great. Not great at all.
I don't know. I mean, that's actually, I find it shocking to hear. Maybe not now. I think maybe 2 weeks ago, that'd be more shocking to hear a team who keeps coming back and like scoring in the last minute and stuff. There we go. There's like, I was telling my brother, so yeah, I got to hear it from him, mind you, tomorrow in Rival Bros. But I love how it's like groundhogs, like they're coming out now. It's like, is it warm out yet? All the United fans are coming out. And honestly, it takes really a guts to say that Manchester United is your daddy, a team who lost 4-0, 5-0, 7-0 within the last 10 games and stuff like that. We were at a point that we were saying it's not even a rivalry anymore. So I would tone down on that, but I'll save it for Edip tomorrow because I'm sure he'll talk a lot of smack as well. Go ahead.
If they finish top half of the table, then maybe you can start talking about daddies again. But let's get out of 16th before we worry about much, okay?
Yeah, this is almost like losing to Forest or something like that. Just flat atmosphere is what we said. He said no belief. 2 goals next time. We're on TikTok live during the game. That's nice. Were they hot? I guess at least for his benefits. But I'm not on the. We have many new players. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think it's just like ridiculously early, and I love the overreaction, man. That's just like, I mean, some of these guys sound like freaking like Arsenal fans. It just drives me nuts. Just like, calm the hell down, for God's sakes. It's like, and I know, I think, I mean, you look at the 4 games lost. The Palace away. None of. I mean, first of all, you lost 2 of them. I guess you go back to, hey, you won a bunch of those games in the last minutes too, but you lost 2 of them in the last freaking minutes. Both Chelsea and Palace there. The Galatasaray game, I mean, really, you huffed and puffed, and you never got a goal across the line. Trust me, that hurts more than even the United game over here. And then this one was disappointing because this one, talking about deflating, like the balloon went all the way like suddenly the middle of the room, because I was really hoping during the international break we would tweak some things. You see the lineup come out yesterday and you're like, okay, so we're doing this. The tweak is going back to old school midfield or whatever, and I just did not see anything different compared to before the international break. And I'm not expecting, like, it's not going to be like, oh, we're doing this now. Van Dijk is striker, and this guy. Like, I understand there's not going to be some like ridiculous change, but I did expect us to be maybe better defensively. I mean, there's like a sequence, like a couple of sequences, I would say, where United could have gotten the second goal before we even got like the draw.
Yeah, it. There was no point, unfortunately, where you felt like that was a match that you were going to get anything out of. And when we equalized, in my head, you get the feeling of, okay, there's going to be one more, but then all of a sudden you're thinking, no, it's not going to happen. And Maguire gets his big head on a ball, and that's that. So I don't even know what to say anymore. It's rough. It's a rough time right now.
Yeah, I mean, it says, do we? I mean, no, not really. I was just like looking at the fixtures, and I don't think there has been one game.
You win against Bournemouth in the last minute. You win against Newcastle in the last minute. You win against Burnley with a last minute penalty. You win against Arsenal with one free kick. You win against Everton, but it doesn't look very good because you let them back in, and it looks like you're going to end up losing points. Yeah, not great.
And that was a lot of, to be fair, the Everton game, there was a lot of paranoia because we had already given up a few 2-0 leads. So when it becomes 2-1, it's like, holy shit, this panic time kind of a deal. I think a huge reason was that. Ray, come on, man. Get up, come inside. Just close the window, come inside. It's way too freaking early. There's way too much money spent. There's way too much talent on this team to say our era is over. Come on now, like 4 games and the era is over after like what, 4 or 5 years of dominance. I think it's just like way too early to kind of jump over the other side. But I do think, yeah, I will probably start changing my tune too if it's going like this another, like, until the international break. You can't just afford to have that poor run and go to the international break on a downer again after you went to this international break on a downer. Because I think it goes back to what you were saying earlier. Like, these guys did really well in their international breaks. Is that because they were kind of like minds clear of the doom and gloom over that and then, like, come back and they're like, back to this. You don't want that United like situation. Prefer cold. Well, come on over, man, because Chicago right now is cold and freaking windy. Yeah, that's another reason to be grumpy this morning, because we're doing morning quarter zips now. It's that time of year, so it's no bueno. Thoughts on the front three? Gakpo, Ekitike, Chiesa. I think Flashback was earlier suggesting. Who was the person he was suggesting? I don't think it was Gakpo. But he did have all those 3 starting over there. So who do you like? What do you I mean, I would think it's going to be automatically, because Flashback was talking about Chiesa, Wirtz, and Ekitike starting against Frankfurt. I almost felt like that goes without saying, because it's, they got the last minute, so they have the less miles on the leg anyway. I thought that was kind of the thought process that they would play midweek.
Yeah, I think when I saw the lineup came out, I immediately thought, okay, so Ekitike is being pretty much saved for Frankfurt, because I thought if Ekitike started yesterday, it would have been the reverse, and Isak would have been saved for Frankfurt. And so I think that was the plan. And it'll be a homecoming, or he's going to play against his old club, so there's a little bit of emotion in that. But I don't mind Gakpo, Ekitike, and Chiesa with Wirtz behind that. It's going to offer you something different, and if anything, I think it'll allow Chiesa a chance to show what he can do around players that are of a higher caliber. Because I think, unfortunately for Chiesa, when he's been put in a starting role, it's been with a bunch of random non-starters, so you don't really get to see how good he can be with the regular players around him, because he's playing with a bunch of like a makeshift. I think back to the Plymouth game, right? I mean, it was just a makeshift 11, and we expected so much. He had such a poor game, and then a lot of people were like, "Well, that's the reason why Slot doesn't play him anymore, is because of Plymouth." It's like, well, I mean, there's probably more factors than just the Plymouth game, but he was thrown into an 11 that had never played before, so there's no cohesion.
Yep.
Now there's no cohesion across 18, so who the fuck cares who's in? But maybe now that there's some quality around that, we'll see how it goes. I don't mind that front four. I think purely for minutes and legs sake, I don't know if Gakpo would make the start, but then I don't know who else plays on the left wing. So yeah, I don't mind that, and I think it gives Mo's going to want to play. Mo always wants to play. Doesn't matter if it's against Real Madrid or Rangers. He wants to play, especially in the Champions League. And so you sit him, and we've said it before, if you sit him, then maybe that'll kind of blow something up, have him put that fire in him. Because if he gets another couple chances like he did yesterday, and he does exactly what he did yesterday, it's not great. And it's not good.
I really think this team needs a game where everything you touch turns into gold kind of game. We really have not had that in so freaking long. And
you realize
we've scored more than 2. Well, we scored 3 against Atletico Address. Good.
Sorry. I think I saw something. We had the same amount of shots on target yesterday as we did in the game against United when they won 7-0. But that's just what happens. And Akazi's not here, but XG, baby. Like that's just what that's the whole point of XG.
I mean, the Mo was always Mo, though, right? I mean, Mo is gonna do that, and it's a striker mentality. I get all that. So, I mean, that's why that's fine. I'm not like going to pick that and be like bench him or anything like that. But it's just like dude, maybe you just need some rest, because you did go and play during the international break too. Maybe you just need some rest coming in the last 30 minutes, because I don't think Chiesa has 90 minutes in him anyway. So I would probably do like 60-30 or something like that. I think that's the problem with Chiesa, the way he plays. That works when you throw him in there in the last 10-15 minutes, but I don't think he can spread that to a 90. So bring him in, and then bring Mo in the last 30 or something like that, especially if things are not going great, like see if he can like turn things around, or if things are going great, let him feast and get his kind of like confidence back by getting like a goal or whatever. But Ray says, see, Ray came in, closed the window, no, not letting the cold in. Ekitike, Isak, Wirtz every game until I think it's a little early to do this American sports style rebuilding season yet. They were like, we're going to play the young guys kind of a deal. But I know you have to find a way. You did not spend all this money if you didn't have a plan in mind. Maybe your plan isn't working. It's time to tweak that plan. I'm not saying throw it all out and like come up with a new plan, because you spend way too much money to do that. But I understand why Ray is saying, you have to kind of tweak something to make it work, because the talent is there. And I think that's why it all goes to Slot. Everybody did not go out of form at the same time. You need either one game to turn the mindset around, or you need a few tweaks tactically to be a bit more like stable.
You just need to see something change. We need to see some semblance of I'm doing something different this game, because like you said, the international break allowed the opportunity to look at what we've been doing, to look at how they've been playing, how they've been set up, and to go then change that. And it didn't change. And so that's what you really need, is you just need to see something different. And if you don't see that that's really frustrating because you feel like the answers are there if you're willing to look for them. But if
Yeah.
you're not willing to look for them and you think that playing the way you've been playing because chances are being created and that's all, then that's not going to be a great recipe.
I mean, I know what Ray is saying here, but I don't agree with it because then don't play Van Dijk either. I mean, according to that math, don't play any of the old guys. None of them are long term. There's a reason why you're paying the wages you are because they're part of the short term solution as well. You don't pay like ridiculous wages if he's not part of the current plans. And I, I'm like I say that this is why I'm like a most defender, maybe like over the top. I have to feel like I have to over the top defend him because I think the criticism is a little over the top for him. Is this is the guy who kind of like won you the ordeal last season, and I don't think anybody should or can look past that. Wasn't everybody jumping up and down to give this guy the contract? And now, like, because we
Not
lost four
everyone.
games in a row, we're just like throwing him the dumpster in the back. I mean, it's just way too early to do that. And do I think he should be rotated more for his own good? Probably more than anything else. Yes. But I think suddenly we're like, yeah, you're no longer part of the plans because we lost four games when the guy who's really expensive in the middle didn't score either and stuff. I just feel like that's a little too unfair on him. But having said that, like I say, I would rather have him come off the bench against Frankfurt. And I think he will. I do think he will, but we'll see. Tony says he thinks Slot will find a way. I really think so too. Hold on. Here's my would you share a Michael Owen quote. The debate isn't if he'll try, it's whether Liverpool even needs. For football's sake, Michael Owen should not be commenting on football anymore. But that's just me. That would be the best thing for football, I think, is Michael Owen not commenting on football moving further. But I don't know. So, what
Look,
is your early prediction for the Frankfurt game?
oh gosh. So I think real quick to the Owen quote, I think this club is just, they're going to start to begin a new trend of going back to the two strikers up top, back to the days of when you had two nines up top that played off each other. But Frankfurt, I am really really hopeful for a response from the team, from the players, especially where you look at it and go, okay, they really, really wanted to set the tone. They really wanted to make an impact. They really understand that things have not been going well. You want to see in the first 10, 15 minutes, mentally and physically, that these players are up for it. And that's what you hope to see. So I will say 2-1, good guys, and walk out of there on the right side of 3 points finally, and look towards Brentford and hopefully look positively.
Tony is going with a 2-2. I'm expecting like a crazy 4-2 kind of a win personally, but I don't think I want the 4-2. I would love a clean sheet, if you will. That would be nice to have. Or at least let's not concede from set pieces. 6 straight. Yeah, I mean, he's definitely in poor form. I don't think there's any denying that. I just feel like it's not time for him to hang out the boots yet, because he hasn't scored in like 6 games. I mean, that's more people making it sound like. I just feel like that's a little over the top. I find it very difficult right now. I mean, we've been talking about it for an hour now, where I can't pick one player and say he's the one. Like if we change them or whatever, and that tells me it's a slot thing, it's a tactical thing that has to be fixed. So, I mean, yeah, but nobody has ever spent 450 million. I mean, we'll probably next year, in 2 years, we'll say nobody has done it spending 500 because the money is out of control. Yeah, I think we get the win. I am confident on Wednesday. I don't know why. I don't have any specific reason watching over the last 4 games to be confident, but I do think like we turn it around. There's way too much quality to be this bad for this long, right? It just feels that way. And I think you have the depth to be able to give some of these guys chances, but like you're saying, without a full rotation where everybody is a stranger either, like, like a certain base there. But you'll be back tomorrow night. I'll be back tonight with the Monday Night Podcast, 7 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock Eastern. You'll be back tomorrow with the panel show. So have fun with that. I'm sure Footy will clear his schedule, Footy Fantasy, to make it this week after not making a lot of the weeks over there, because all the United fans are like coming out. The morning show, we are back to Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So no morning show tomorrow, but I'll be back Wednesday with John and Adri. So the Wednesday crew has changed, and I know we're gonna have Gordo Aziz available as well. But I'll be back Wednesday morning with the morning crew. So do tune in then. If you have not subscribed, why the hell not? Hit the thumbs up, give us a follow, tell our friends, and have an awesome weekend. We'll see you guys soon. Take care.